We can throw lawyers in there too. Good morning and welcome to the 2024 Farmington State of the City Address. Welcome to our audience here in person and those who are looking and watching online. Welcome. I'm John Altoff. I am the President and Chief Mission Officer of the Dakota County Regional Chamber of Commerce. The Dakota County Regional Chamber of Commerce serves as a local chamber of commerce for Farmington and 9 other cities in Dakota County and 3 townships. Farmington represents some of the fastest growth in our entire DCR region. And today is a great example of the partnership that we have with the city, which will continue to grow in 2024 and beyond. I took over my role with the DCR Chamber a little over a year ago. And to be honest, I didn't really know much about the city of Farmington. But when I came into the role, all of a sudden, I started to learn a lot about Farmington. My first trip down here was for a groundbreaking for the Hiawatha broadband that is bringing broadband to every home and every business and free Wi-Fi in the parks. I've never seen or heard that anywhere else or since. And so all of a sudden said, Farmington's got it going on. And then we have the beautiful building right next door. I was there for the groundbreaking for that, and now that is the Emory, right? That is now up. It's looking great. So a lot of progress here. But then the last thing was that just this morning when I pulled in, there was a gentleman walking up the street, and he bent over to pick up a little piece of paper off the street and throw it in a trash can. And I said, holy moly, what a town. What a town. So thank you, all of you who have taken the time to attend today's program to hear about the great work in the city over the last year and what's in store for the future. I also want to thank our sponsors. They may be thanked more than once today, and they should be. Minnesota Energy Resources, Castle Rock Bank, and Midwest Bank of Farmington. Let's please recognize our sponsors for their support. Because great coffee and great pastries don't grow on trees. So thank you for the sponsor. Lastly, I do want to thank our elected officials for being here today. Sometimes folks come that don't show up. And so if you're an elected to a local, regional, state, or federal office, please rise so that we can recognize you. Yeah. And recently, we were painfully all reminded of the sacrifices that our first responders make. And so, please, our first responders that are in the room, please also stand. Be recognized so we can thank you. They make safe communities, but as the head of a chamber of commerce, I can tell you, you don't get good business without safe communities. So thank you. It's now my honor to introduce your mayor, Joshua Hoyt. Mayor Hoyt was previously a write-in winner to a Farmington City Council. Who does that? Who writes in and wins, right? He did. He is a Marine Corps veteran, small business owner, a speaker, podcaster, mental health awareness activist, serial volunteer, and fundraiser. As part of his volunteer work, what an amazing man he is. He has walked to raise money, he has wrestled to make money, and he's kicked field goals in last year's DCR Mayor's Cup. Last year he tied Mayor Weissensel of Rosemont, making 25 to 25 kicks made, but he kicked in, I think it was 10-degree weather and 40-mile-an-hour winds. And he still tied the mayor who kicked on a beautiful sunny day. So this year things...
We have witnesses to verify the elements of the...
Yeah. So this year things will be different though, right? All right, very good. Looking forward to that. So please welcome a mayor whose advocacy for Farmington around the county and the state is unwavering. One of Farmington's best and boldest, Mayor Joshua Hoyt.
A very gracious thank you, very humbling. I appreciate it though. For those that are watching on TV, do not adjust the contrast. I didn't get the memo about sunblock yesterday. So it's not that warm in here. I actually got a little burnt. Again, it is my honor and it is a privilege to present to you the 2024 State of the City for the City of Farmington. This presentation is available via live stream on the City of Farmington's Facebook page, the City of Farmington's YouTube channel, and also on Charter Spectrum 180. The State of the City is a look back over the previous year and a look ahead to celebrate our progress. I will also provide insight into the work plan for this year. As John mentioned, our sponsors are Minnesota Energy Resources, Castle Rock Bank, and Midwest Bank. In attendance, we have the Nikolai family, and we also have Neil Anderson from Midwest Bank. If we could please give them another round of applause. Thank you to the Dakota County Regional Chamber of Commerce for your continued support and for your dedication to the many businesses and organizations across Dakota County. We appreciate you. Thank you to my peers, the City Council. Councilmembers Steve Wilson, Nick Lean, Holly Bernatz, and Katie Porter not in attendance, for your collaboration, for all the hard work that we do throughout the year, and for most importantly, for empowering and supporting the team that is the organization at the City of Farmington. So thank you. Thank you to our City Administrator, Lynn Gorski. Lynn, you lead our organization with empathy, with trust, and with integrity. You are amazing. Thank you. All right, we won't have to do a whole lot more clapping, so we're good there. This presentation it couldn't be possible without the collaborative support of a very small but very impactful team. We have our communications team of Corinne, Tim, and Harry. We have our IT director, Peter Gilbertson, our engineering GIS specialist, Danny Olson. Again, I couldn't do this without you, so thank you for everything that you did to make today possible. In attendance, okay, we're good. We're good. In attendance, we also have our Dakota County Commissioner, Mike Slavic. Mike, your representation is admirable. How you collaborate with our team and within the county board for all things Farmington. From safety improvements to improvements to our parks, you're steadfast in everything that you do. So thank you very much for everything on behalf of all the residents of Farmington. Thank you. And Wendy, our Met Council representative, you're doing it on a much larger scale, statewide. I wish there was more directly that we could do work together, but we're doing everything that we can, and we applaud everything that you do for us and our residents at the state level. So thank you, ma'am. This year we welcomed a new director to our senior leadership team. Kim Summerland was hired as our finance director. She dove right in. She made the transition virtually seamless. Kim, we appreciate your patience and your commitment to our financial excellence. We also welcome Shirley Buxler as our new city clerk. Shirley, you're an incredible woman. Your passion for accuracy and your work is just overall impressive. Thank you. We also added 17 new members to Team Farmington. They're pictured throughout based on their departments. With their addition to our team, we are stronger and we are more effective as an organization. Their contributions will continue to increase our standard of core service delivery, and we are all better with them on our team. Now, in my previous State of the City presentations, I've been very intentional on how we told our story and why. Farmington is unique. We have small town charm, we have historical characteristics, and who we are is as important as who we will look like in the coming years. In 2021, I talked a lot about our team, the experience and the tenure, the thousands of years of experience that we had within our team. In 22, we talked about our anniversary, our 150th, being the second oldest city in Dakota County. Last year, it was about transition. It was about building our team. It was about new senior leadership, elevating our standards and moving forward to meet the needs of our residents and our businesses across our community. This year, we're going to talk about our progress. We're going to talk about how we build on our success. Our city council priorities are our pillars. These are the foundation in everything that we do. How we operate, how we conduct ourselves, where we put our time, effort, and our energy, and we focus them into 4 very distinct pillars that should not change. These should continue to remain the foundation of the city of Farmington in years to come. We have employee engagement, culture, and wellness, frankly, because you have to have a team. You cannot do any work without a high-performing team. We have infrastructure support. How do we support everybody, internally and externally? We have community engagement. We have quality business growth and retention. We can achieve excellence when we have highly skilled individuals that work collaboratively as a talented team. We have clearly defined expectations and processes. We have collaboration, and we have effective communication. Our team is committed to data-driven decision-making and the highest standard of core service delivery. The guiding principles for our employee engagement, culture, and wellness are to ensure that all employees feel empowered, valued, and appreciated, to promote employee collaboration, and to create a respectful and trusting work environment. Our engagement involves award banquets for our police and fire departments. It's our ability to recognize them for not only years of service, but also performance and achievements. We hold annual employee recognition events and summer cookouts to show our appreciation to our team. Our conduct and our culture is done through surveys. We continue to engage our team through culture surveys to understand where we are, how we can improve, we listen, and we implement changes as needed. It's the most important piece is we listen to what our team says and we act on it. Our Safety and Wellness Committee is passionate about working to educate and inform our team on all of the resources that are available to them. Again, really driving home the wellness piece. This is a small slide of our team throughout the year in various situations and events. It's a nice little way to see how we show up as a team. Under infrastructure support, our guiding principles are to provide the highest level of core service delivery. It's also to meet industry standards for capital improvement planning. That's to meet industry standards. In order for us to meet our standards, we need to have the awareness and the recognition that we were not meeting the standards. So our commitment starts there. It starts at getting to the standard and meeting it, and then it involves the work and determination as to where we want to go in elevating our standards for core service delivery. Several key components to ensure that we can do this: recruitment, development, and retaining key talent, evaluating our staffing models and capacity, and adapting in real time. We need to have consistency because with retirements and leadership changes, you have to maintain that experience capital. We implement new software, new programs across all departments that allow our team to be more effective in their ability to best serve our residents. We need to ensure that our facilities are maintained. Our team needs the right equipment to meet the changing needs of our residents and our businesses. We need to hire with values that align with our pillars. We need to train and equip with the resources needed to deliver on that promise. Again, clearly defined expectations for our team. Our residents expect something, we need to expect that of our team to make that delivery possible. And we need to communicate effectively and give them time to complete the tasks that we want. Let's get into our Rambling River Center. Our Rambling River Center is an invaluable asset to our community. This is a second home for our aging adults. This is where they feel connected to each other. This is where they can be active, participate in programs and events. But it's not just for our aging adults. Membership might require an age, but participation does not. This is a place where our community can continue to connect with other residents through events and programming. Last year, through the congressionally directed spending, Congresswoman Angie Craig Senator Amy Klobuchar and Senator Tina Smith helped secure $750,000 through community project funding to bring enhancements that are decades overdue at our Rambling River Center. We talked about the award last year. Now we're starting to put it into action. Between our Rambling River Center Advisory Board, the Park and Rec Board, and the City Council, we have worked through various options as to how we want to proceed. We talked about multiple phases. We talked about doing this over an extended period of time to try and lessen a financial burden on our community. But at the end of the day, we realized that the most important thing was the residents and the members of our center being in the center and to displace them for the shortest amount of time. So we've committed and we've given the direction to our team to proceed with this project in one phase. This project has been through concept, which you've seen here, a few pictures to depict a few of the areas and what they'll look like with their enhancements. But more importantly, that this construction is going to start as early as September with an anticipated completion of April or May 2025. So we're going to get in, get the work done, and get out, and get our residents back to the place that they love to spend their time. A few components about the Rambling River Center enhancements here. Number one is the enhanced outdoor area. With the gracious donation from Midwest Bank of $50,000, we're able to put additional funds and resources into enhancing that outdoor space to better balance the needs of our residents and the members of the center. Within our garage area, we're going to expand the fitness center. We're going to move from a 3-stall garage into a 2-stall or into a single-stall garage and take up 2 of those stalls to grow out the size of the fitness center. Again, aging adults being active in the center is vital to not only their physical and mental health, but it's also vital to the continued vibrancy and utilization of the center. The fitness center is one way that will accomplish that. Again, a huge thanks to the Park and Rec Board and the Rambling River Advisory Commission for all of the hard work that we've done over the last year to get this to a point where we're ready to build. Now, Congresswoman Craig could not be here today. She's out in Washington advocating on behalf. I believe there may be a few members of her team here. But she sent us a little video. So let's spend about 90 seconds listening to what the Congresswoman says.
Good morning, everyone. I'm back in Washington with votes. I would have loved to join you all in person to hear Mayor Hoyt's address today. I just wanted to take a moment to thank Josh for his continued partnership throughout the years. We've hosted town halls together, worked side by side to bring home $750,000 in federal funding to make the Rambling River and Exterior Plaza accessible for seniors. And we've called on USPS to build a new post office to improve mail service for Farmington residents. This year, we secured critical federal funding for the Farmington Police Department's security infrastructure, making our community safer in the long term. There are so many exciting things happening here in Farmington. Lots of projects and initiatives coming soon, and we're working hard to build these development opportunities here in the city to strengthen our local economy. Along with many of you, I'm excited to hear more from the mayor about what we've already done and all that we're going to get done this year. I look so forward to working on so much of it with all of you. And a final thank you to Josh for his wrestling experience to raise money here in our city. And I don't know if all of you know this, but from now on, he is Mayor Mayhem.
Okay, that's 2 wrestling references. There will be no more. Neither of them was mine. As the Congresswoman stated, in the congressionally directed spending, we have secured $869,000 for our police department to ensure that we have the critical safety enhancements for our police department, our assets, and our vehicles. Council, in conjunction with our planning team, will start working on the feasibility of how to incorporate this additional funding into the needs assessment that we have in the terms of a police department expansion. We need to look at what that entails over the next few years, but clearly we need to use our funds in the most reasonable way possible, and we couldn't do it without an additional almost $1 million. So huge. Congresswoman Craig and our senators continue to advocate for Farmington. It's unbelievable to see what they're able to do at the federal level to redirect that money and bring it back into the community. It allows us to continue to enhance our services, protect our critical infrastructure, and it wouldn't be possible without their advocacy. So a huge thank you to the Congresswoman and her team. Again, we would not be able to do it without her. Staying in infrastructure support, one of our guiding principles was meeting industry standards for capital improvement planning. This is about where we're at. To use data-driven decision-making, we need to compile the data. So last year, we embarked on a couple of fairly bold initiatives. We started with our pavement condition index. We went through and we will be indexing every road through the entire community every other year. Basically, we'll do the whole community year 1 and year 2. So we're accomplishing that. On top of our trails will be done in 2 to 3 year cycles. This gives us a rating scale of 0 to 100 to help the city council prioritize the standard that we need. So for example, our average roads may come out to be a 79. If the city says, we want our roads to be an 85, we want them to exceed standards, then we'll set that in policy, and that'll be the direction for our road construction work to be done. But we had to start with an assessment. So there's no arbitrary decisions about we're gonna do this road or this road. We're looking at pavement condition first, traffic impact, community impact, tree removals, all of the other pieces, and then collaborating with our community partners to ensure that we can do these projects in a timely and responsible manner more than anything. We're also doing that with our facilities condition assessment. We went through citywide and we looked at all of our facilities and we laid out a 10-year plan. If you take the police expansion out of that, which is approximately $20 million, there's $18 million that's left over the next decade that needs to be reinvested into our city facilities. Again, we don't want to make arbitrary decisions. They need to be data-driven. So by compiling this facilities assessment, it's going to allow us to best use the dollars in the most expeditious manner to ensure that we maintain our critical infrastructure components. We're also doing a 10-year street plan. By pulling this data in, it allows us to forecast out further than just 1 or 2 years at a time. We can plan 10 years worth of road work in real time. It also gives us a more balanced and secure long-term financial plan. It's the most important thing for our residents and our businesses is where are their tax dollars going? How are their tax dollars being spent? We have been elected and entrusted with the responsibility of being the best stewards for those dollars, and by using data-driven decision-making, we can do that for our residents and our businesses. It also increases our standard at the same time. It gives us a baseline to work off of. We can say we want it here, now we're gonna meet the standard, but now we want to increase it, and how do we do that? We have levers that we can go in and pull to use that data to drive those processes. Once we meet our standards, we're gonna determine how we plan to exceed them. Speaking of last year's projects, long overdue was our Aiken Road project. This was completed late 2023. There was a final completion walkthrough that was done this spring. There's a reclamation and widening of portions of the path on the east side of Aiken Road. Several areas also had curb added. This is going to allow for better drainage of our stormwater and our rainwater. Huge improvement, long overdue. Speed limit still 45. We're good there. Another project that we wrapped in to 23 but finished up early 24 was the Spruce Street and Division project. This was also coupled with the parking lot work that was done on the west side of the arena and the new parking lot that was built on the east side. Again, we got about 90% of the way there. There were a few safety improvements that we had to make. So when you look at the pillars that are on the south side of the arena, you'll notice that the 3 pillars to the west got cut down. That was because in design, when you look at it, everything works. And then when you go to real time, we realized it didn't. So for residents, again, we listen and we react. When residents were telling us, you can't see when you leave, there's an obstruction from headlights headed westbound on Spruce, we had to go in and cut those down to increase that line of sight for pedestrian and driver safety. The emphasis obviously is always on pedestrian and driver safety. A major collaboration project that we finally got done. Again, a decade plus in the making. Working with Dakota County, Mike Slavic, the rest of the commissioners to help allocate the funds to make a long overdue safety improvement. Now, we know this is not the long-term solution, but we all mutually agreed that doing nothing wasn't an option. So we had to do something. Listen to engineers, looked at the traffic, looked at the information, and we made a fact-based decision to ensure that the improvements could be achieved without committing a substantial amount of money, knowing that development is going to drive the next piece. As that development happens, it could turn into a roundabout or a stoplight. Most likely a stoplight. When that happens will be dictated based on development. Not the city, not the school, not the county, not the state. Nobody else is going to determine when that happens until development occurs and warrants the necessary improvements. But to keep safety as a priority for not only our pedestrians but our drivers in the area, I'm not going to say any more on that. Talking about our 2024 projects. You know, I started in 2019 as my first year elected, and I remember when we did Westview Acres. It was the first road reconstruction project that we had done in 5 or 6 years. We started picking away at one at a time, little projects, right? Now that we've got our data, now that we have the information, we can really push full ahead using that data to make good decisions. So in 2024, we have a total of 3 street reconstruction projects, primarily Maple and 6th Street. So for those that are unfamiliar with the area, this would be on the north and the east side of Farmington Elementary downtown. There will be a road width change, there will be some tree removals, enhancements to pedestrian walkways, but we also have 6 mill and overlay projects. There will be 7 streets involved. We have Spruce and 9th Street, 213th Street West, those are both downtown. In the industrial park, much to the, let's just say everyone in the industrial park is going to be extremely happy that this is finally happening. This is something, again, that was probably a decade and a half in the making. But 208th Street and Eaton Avenue will have a mill and overlay done. As you move into North Farmington, you'll have a pretty significant section of Embers Avenue. You'll also have Embry Avenue, a section of Euclid Path and Euclid Street, and an upper 182nd Street as well. Now, those projects are in the planning. We've gone through our specs and our schedule, but we're already starting on 25. So by getting the information earlier in the process, it allows us to accelerate the planning process, which allows us to communicate with residents, businesses, and affected areas earlier in that cycle, and we're not having those conversations in August, September, October that construction starts in the spring. So again, you see a lot of the things that I'm saying are leading back into our pillars. It's not just what we do, it's why we're doing it and the benefit that process gives us. Something nobody wants to talk about is our trees. Emerald ash borer. Much like Dutch elm was in its day, we're dealing with emerald ash borer. This is not a comfortable conversation. We are a tree city USA. We get the recognition every year, but you're taking down your trees. You're right. There's a species that got out there, a bug that got into trees that is doing damage at rates that no one could predict. What did we find? We didn't have enough diversity in our trees. We had far too many ash trees. So now that we have this information, this data, we can go back and better plan. But how do we deal with what is happening in real time? We had to go through and do a tree inventory. Our last tree inventory was done in 2016. With the addition of Ed Rutledge, our natural resource specialist, going back and reevaluating that data, we learned that it was not only incomplete, but it was inaccurate. Additionally, we had an escalation of time for the decay, and some trees that were being treated could no longer be treated and had to be removed. So this is something that we're dealing with in real time. The net of it is there are 3,600 boulevard trees that need to come down. That's not counting parks, that's not counting trails. That total number could be tens of thousands, but we have to handle pedestrian and driver safety first, which is why we're emphasizing some time in parks, but boulevard trees. 3,600 trees. The City Council is going to continue, God willing and Council approving, the continuation of $600,000 per year for the next 5 years. That's $3 million that our community is going to have to invest in just the removal of trees and stumps. That does not include reforestation. That does not include replanting trees. We've been working through work sessions, again with the help of Ed Rutledge, our natural resource specialist, to identify a diverse mix of trees that we can plan to ensure that we don't have all maples down one boulevard, that God forbid, something happens and maples have to come down, we lose an entire boulevard of trees. We have to diversify this mix. We have to secure funding sources. We're working on grants and ways that we can go out and secure outside funding to ensure that we have the earmarks for a dedicated reforestation plan. The thing that we're going to ask the most is for your patience. Please be patient. We don't want to take these trees down. We don't, but we have to. The timing is going to change. Some of these trees we've been treating and planning for a few years, thinking that they're going to come down in 10 years. And as we're doing our annual re-inspects, we're finding out that it might be a 2 to a 3 year plan before it comes out. But we're using data, a current inventory system, to make sure that we can use our tax dollars the best way we can to solve our problem, but do it in an expeditious manner. Let's get back to good news. The Rambling River Park this time. The Rambling River Park and Feely Fields are the gateway to our downtown. They are the most visible, heavily used, but yet they are the most aged and in need of update parks that we have. We started master planning the end of '22 when we pivoted from Jim Bell Park and Preserve, and we had received our community feedback about the needs that our community had, what types of amenities, what types of activities. We listened to what they told us, realized that we couldn't go out and commit financially to Jim Bell, so we pivoted back to what we have, enhance what we know needed to be improved on, what needed to be invested on, and we utilized that information to make good decisions. That master planning started the end of '22, worked through '23. This concept plan has significant upgrades to the paths and trails, working with Dakota County on a potential trailhead. We also had our Park and Rec Board collaborate with residents on new surveys and new engagement to implement what we're being told. We were told to reinvest in our parks because it's one of the #1 reasons that people like to call Farmington home. So we're going to continue to put our money back there. Some of the construction that you've seen happen is what you would used to refer to as our tennis courts. So those tennis courts came down. There is new equipment on site. We are going to construct an all-inclusive playground. This all-inclusive playground will have a hard rubber surface. It'll ensure ADA accessibility. It's going to meet the diverse needs of our community and its residents. It also is being set back from the Vermilion River, that for many of us who have been here for decades know, when the river rises, it floods the park, and you can't use a park that's flooded. So we're moving it to higher ground, creating greater accessibility, and keeping it away from the 100-year storms that we end up having. But this one's in process, and on your way out of town, please make it a point to drive through there and check it out. It's a pretty substantial area. It's going to be amazing when it's completed. The rest of the components of the park we're looking at securing financing for. Ultimately, we need to figure out how we're going to fund it. Most recently, we've submitted for some grants that allow us to pull forward major components, one of those being the skate park. So we went out for a grant that hopefully we'll get. I was told not to say that because if we don't get it, I'm going to look stupid. But we got to have some good stuff in there too. Staying in infrastructure support, let's talk a minute about information technology and fiber. Back in 2019 when I started, I recognized that we had a lot of core infrastructure here. We had power, we had water, we had sewer, we had major Met Council collectors. We had large gas lines, 4-inch, 6-inch lines. We didn't have a lot of fiber. We had some county assets in the community, but we didn't have it built out the way that we needed it. So we had to figure out how to get in front of this, partner with someone that would come in and offer competition for our residents, ultimately be an additional economic development tool, but something that we could enhance our services, one of our #1 features, and that's our parks and our trails. So last year, HBC started what was initially a 36-month build-out that they're targeting to be done early to mid-25. So this project could be 24 to 30 months by the time it's finished. It's going to ensure that there is fiber accessibility to every home and business, border to border within the community. It's also going to offer additional competition, because what happens when we have competition? The standard of service is increased. Everybody is forced to get better. It's not just going to drive prices down. It will ensure that the standard of service is increased. Within our parks, we used ARPA funding, and we allocated funds so that 20 of our 29 parks will have a free, secure network for Wi-Fi. So as we're making enhancements to our parks, and as our residents and visitors of our community are coming into our parks, they have accessibility to Wi-Fi. Again, better serving the underserved, ensuring that we can offer enhanced services, geocaching, waypoint mapping, all the things you can use technology to benefit from. We couldn't let technology be a roadblock for that. So in a few of our parks, specifically Rambling River Park, you're going to see poles go up, power pedestals go in place. That's the beginning part of the needed infrastructure to ensure that we can offer that service. But by late summer, early fall, we should have Rambling River Park and Feely Fields online. So big project, 24 months, but we're moving forward. Just a quick list of the parks for anyone that wants to see it after the fact. We do have all this information on our website, but 20 of the 29 that we have throughout the community will have park fiber in them. Let's talk about community engagement. Our guiding principles of community engagement are to increase transparency in city government. They're to communicate effectively, and they're to enhance the outreach and create tools to encourage resident engagement. Our council and our entire team continue to show up. We have high-frequency resident engagement because it's an opportunity for us to not only educate but inform our residents and business owners. This is positive involvement in many community events. It's a way that we can collaborate with all of our community partners. We can continue to build trust, foster relationships for all of our residents. We utilize things like our Currents quarterly newsletter. We have a new city website. I've mentioned the surveys a few times. We'll continue to engage our residents and our business owners with surveys to listen to what they tell us and act on it. And speaking of a new website, this went live about a week ago. Our website was slightly archaic. This new version is much cleaner, much easier to use. It is far more efficient for our residents, our businesses, for those that coming into Farmington can find the information quickly. We have integration with our GIS mapping, which allows us to do project updates in real time. We have an unbelievable GIS specialist in Danny, and she loves taking the information and putting it into a visual format. We can embed into our website and use QR codes. So as we're talking about programming and events, people have access through our currents, placards, whatever it may be. They'll see the QR code, goes right to the website, interactive update for projects, economic development opportunities, commercial real estate, scheduling for programs. And for our residents, the Farmington Fix portion. Because Farmington Fix is finally fixed. It wasn't being used the way that we intended it. We know what we wanted. We wanted to hear from residents. We wanted to know, what are the problems? Where are they at? How does it affect you? Who can solve it? And how fast can we solve it? It's a process. We have to work through that. Phone calls were going to the front desk. Sometimes stuff gets lost in translation. Bad information in, bad information out. By incorporating a new Farmington Fix, we're able to narrow down the key items that our residents tell us need to be addressed. Those are items like code enforcement, fire code, parks, roads, snow and ice, trees, utility, even the website. If there's a problem with the website, put a Farmington Fix in on the Farmington website. Hopefully it's not the Farmington Fix that you're submitting a fix ticket on. But we're trying to clear this. We're trying to make it more concise, more understandable, but more importantly, usable. If it's not used, it's worthless. So we encourage people to utilize the Farmington Fix and help us improve our service delivery across the board. This is a few pictures of our community engagement. This is our team throughout various events during the year. Our team just continues to show up. You know, not just electeds, not just appointeds, top to bottom, left to right. Our team continues to show up. We continue to collaborate with residents, business owners, nonprofits, religious groups and organizations. We attend as many events as we can. We understand the stress and the burden that puts on our team to continue to do that, because a lot of times those events are outside of working hours. But there is not a single person who won't do it. They understand the value to the community. They understand what being a member of Team Farmington means, and they continue to commit to the community engagement because they know it's what makes us most special. This is a very, very, very small way to show the ways that we get involved in our community. Now the thing that y'all been waiting for, little quality business growth and retention. Our guiding principles are to enhance business activities, to positively position Farmington to not only welcome, support, and attract new development that helps diversify our tax base. It is also to maintain and grow relationships. In 2023, our team embarked on the Unexpectedly Bold campaign to positively promote Farmington. We wanted to celebrate our past, but we also wanted to boldly define our future. We needed to meet people where they were at. We needed to go out. The wait for it to happen wasn't working. So there were tools and resources we put in place to ensure that our team could go out and actively promote Farmington in the most positive way. As a result of that, now mind you, the 3 people I'm going to mention next have been with the city of Farmington for less than 18 months. In 18 months, their work outside of the community of Farmington has drawn so much attention that even this state of the city had 30 people in it the first year I did it, and we have double that today. They continue to show up at events, and they know that Farmington is a community that people can choose to live, work, and play in. Deanna, our Community Development Director, was awarded the Minnesota Real Estate Journal Economic Developer of the Year Award. She was also the City of Farmington was a finalist for the Minnesota Real Estate Journal City of the Year. Stephanie, our Economic Development Coordinator, was awarded the Economic Development Association of Minnesota's Emerging Professional of the Year Award. Jared, our Planning Coordinator, was awarded, he was a finalist. Jared, where you at? My bad. I was sitting next to you when that happened. He was a finalist for the St. Paul Area Chamber of Commerce's Leaders in Local Government Rising Star. He was a finalist. Lost to St. Paul. I mean, come on, right? The City of Farmington, though, we were also in that same St. Paul Area Chamber of Commerce. The City of Farmington was a finalist in the Communications and Marketing campaign for our Unexpectedly Bold campaign. Again, we're getting recognized because we're showing up. We're putting in the work. People are seeing it. We know our value. Now they know the value. And now they're coming this way, and we're starting to see that happen throughout the community. I can't forget Tony, though, because Tony has been our planning manager for over 20 years. He's going to have an award cabinet for 2024. You're in next year's slides, my friend. That team, though, I mean, in all seriousness, they do the work every day. They're out there proactively promoting our community, showing them what tools and resources are available beyond the natural resources, beyond the utilities, beyond the things that make the project work. They're showing up and talking about our people, talking about our community, how we collaborate and how we work together, and why Farmington is an amazing community to not only live, work, but also establish your business in. And their showing up is absolutely changing the score. Let's give them a round of applause. This is R&L Carriers. R&L Carriers is a long-standing transportation business within our industrial park. They are one of our top employers who have hundreds of employees. R&L Carriers continues to reinvest and call Farmington home. Later this year, R&L will start a 100,000 square foot expansion. They will occupy the property between the existing site and Pilot Knob Road. The larger shaded portion is a stormwater retention pond. Transportation companies have a lot of surface area coverage, so hence the addition of a stormwater retention pond. But R&L is a significant contributor to our community. They are a significant transportation business, longstanding, that has shown a reason to continue to invest in our community. They are also proof that Farmington is not too far from an interstate. We have our Emery. The Emery was an Ebert Construction, significant multifamily investment in our downtown historic district. This project took an older property that was not being properly used. Frankly, it was an eyesore, and they're investing tens of millions of dollars into our downtown district. This project, while it might be a little uncomfortable for those that have been in the community a long time, this project over time will prove to be one of the single greatest investments that happen downtown. Again, tens of millions of dollars, 74 units, 1 and 2 bedroom, 74 plus residents, downtown within hundreds of feet of all of our downtown businesses. That is a major win by any playbook in economic development. It is market rate. The numbers published have been anywhere between $1,600 and $1,900 a month. It offers competition. It offers the ability for competition and the quality of service to be raised. It's good for our residents. And again, it provides that long-term stability in our downtown district. These buildings don't just disappear. They stay here for a long time. It supports our downtown redevelopment plan. It shows other developers that we know how to do tax increment financing projects, and it shows them that we know how to get this work done. Our community has a capacity, we have a current capacity, or what we call an absorption rate, of 400 units. So the city of Farmington can absorb 400 condo or apartment units. This is 74. You will see more projects coming, number one, because the community needs it, and two, it helps drive other things within economic development. Your employers need workforce, right? You have an employer that's looking at jobs between $18 and $24 an hour. You can't afford a single-family home in Farmington. So as you look across the community and you see this diversification of our housing mix, it's so that we can meet at price points that offer a new home to our residents and signal to prospective and current employers that their workforce is here in town. They don't need to bring them in from 10, 15, 30 miles away. That is a significant win for this community. But I understand, it's different. Change is different. We have to get comfortable with that. If you want the businesses, you have to meet some of these needs, and diversifying our housing mix is a significant way for us to do that. We're gonna get a little uncomfortable. Let's talk about opportunities for a second. Late last year, the city of Farmington was working with the Castle Rock Township on a new technology park opportunity. These types of opportunities in our region have the potential to bring a generational impact to many parts of our community, landowners, our communities, and our school district. Technology parks are a critical component of our infrastructure, specifically moving forward. These opportunities provide well-paying jobs. They have minimal traffic at the site once completed. They have very little dependency on public safety and city services, but they also create the ideal tax diversity that all of our communities have longed for. Now, this most recent project hasn't moved forward. However, we will continue to see more opportunities come forth. Our infrastructure is primed for it. We have all of the key components. It is inevitable that we will see more of this come in the years to come. We as communities have to continue to find ways to work together to put these projects on the map. An example of the financial impact. Now, this might be hard to see in person, so I'll summarize it for you. Here's an example. This is just one project in estimations. A 300-acre parcel over 6 years has a $70,000 tax impact. A technology park over the same 6-year period of time has an estimated $8.7 million in those same 6 years. It's not all about money, but that helps. It's about continuity with the landscape. It's about setbacks and appropriation of zoning. There are a lot of components that make these projects work. But we have a lot of needs in the community, the greater community, and we have a significant draw to these larger projects. We have to figure out a way to put them together. I don't think anybody would disagree that we all know we're going somewhere. We all know that we're going somewhere that has prosperity, it has balance, it has diversification of our taxes. How we get there might be a little bit of a disagreement, but we all agree we want to go to the same place. So let's start collaborating and working together to get to that place, because everybody ultimately benefits it. Projects don't happen, high-level core services don't happen unless you can put those projects together. I won't dwell on that anymore. I wanted to draw a bigger picture here, because it was important that, especially for me over the last 4 years and telling the story of our community, we're in the weeds every day. We are in the weeds every single day. We live here, we work here. We don't step outside and look at the bigger picture. One of our guiding principles is to maintain and grow relationships. We need to diversify our tax base. This is a complex problem that requires a complex and collaborative solution. The map to my left here shows the city of Farmington within the school district. For simplicity, the green is current agricultural land use. The yellow is non-commercial industrial land use. The red is current commercial and industrial. So red is commercial, yellow is not, green is ag. This is a visual representation to the size and scale of where we are today and the opportunities that we have in front of us. I do want you to take special attention and time to notice the small amount of red, which is the smaller amount of commercial industrial land use across the district. This is a greater community need, not a mutually exclusive Farmington problem to solve. We have to collaborate across the district and across our communities because ultimately our district serves all of our communities. I'm going to bring this down a little bit. This is just the city of Farmington. So just within the city of Farmington, colors are still the same. Yellow represents current non-commercial industrial, so residential, open spaces, right-of-ways, all of that. Green is agricultural. Red is current commercial industrial. The few pieces of brown in there are ag preserve. There's limited use, there's guidance, that's regulations that don't allow things to happen there right away. But the crosshatch section, the part that looks like a black vinyl fence there, that's the overlay for our current 2040 comprehensive planned use for commercial industrial. This is basically a target. This is where our team is going out and saying, this is currently planned commercial industrial. These are the areas that we need to best guide. This is where our concentration of time, effort, and energy needs to be, is in that crosshatch section, which is pretty much right on our industrial park, Highway 50, kind of west of Pilot Knob, east of Flagstaff. It's cornered in that area. That's where our primary focus is right now. But in work session with my peers, we understood that's not enough. It's not enough area. It's not enough to make sure that we can balance our taxes in future years to meet the rising needs of our residents and our businesses. So what we did was we got a little bit deeper. We tried to better understand, how do we add more commercial industrial, more mixed use into our 2040 comprehensive plan? Again, as a percentage, Farmington is 100% land. 54% of it is developed. That leaves 46% undeveloped. Of that 46, only 5 is currently marked for future commercial industrial expansion. Only 5%. That's a very small percentage, relatively speaking, within the city of Farmington. We recognize that we need to add more, so we're going to do some mid-cycle updates. We've already started talking about how we're going to overlay in different areas, knowing that development will dictate this. You have the need of infrastructure that will be built basically from the center out. We have to work with Met Council and the MUSA boundary. There's a lot of things that have to go into play, but the most important thing to take away from this is we recognize the need and we are proactively working to fix it. Complex problem, complex solution. But we're getting there. It will end up diversifying the tax base in the way that our residents need. But the one thing that we cannot forget is that we can't get this wrong. The cost of redevelopment is significant. So when you have raw land, you have new opportunities for development, we cannot get this wrong. We have to do it in a controlled way that makes sense for all entities. We have to recognize the needs of our school district, but we do have to continue to collaborate with our bordering communities. We have to work within our current annexation agreements. We need to guide development that relieves that burden for both our residents and our businesses. When we do so, we'll be just fine. So in closing, I just want to hit a couple of notes here real quick. This all happens with a team. And I can't emphasize that enough. But you can have all the plans in the world. You can have all the great intentions in the world. You can think up all the possible scenarios. But if you don't have a team that's bought into your vision, where you are, where you're going, how you're going to get there, if they're not empowered, the work can't happen. As we work through this process, we have to retain that key talent. We have to make sure that these experienced and tenured professionals who have made a choice to come to the city of Farmington continue to choose the city of Farmington to grow through all of these problems. It's an issue we've had in the past, and it's one that I hope we don't ever have again, because the team that works here right now is unbelievable. And they're showing up, and outside of our borders, everybody sees that. They recognize it, and they're supportive, and they want to collaborate with us. But our community is more than just buildings and houses. Our community is about the people that choose to live here, their families, their businesses, and how they support each other. We continue to show up for each other whenever we're called. Nonprofits, fundraisers, the needs, whatever it is, Farmington always shows up for each other. Farmington picks up the trash when they walk through downtown. We support everybody in every way that we can because that's what makes us unique and special. We're also a community where the sound of the siren is different. The sound of our first responder sirens is different because of how we support our police, our fire, our EMTs, and our paramedics. In Farmington, that sound is different because we know that our residents are on both ends of that siren. They're the ones that are jumping in the trucks, hauling butt down the road, but they're also the ones on the other end that picked up the phone and called for help. So it's always going to sound different here. And we will make sure that our teams are equipped, prepared, trained, and have the adequate resources to continue to do their job because our residents are on the other end of that call, wanting them to show up as quickly as possible in a time of need. Now, how our community looks and how we move forward, it's going to change. We talked about this last year. It's going to be uncomfortable. Things are just going to start to look different. But Farmington is going to continue to evolve into this thriving opportunity of where our residents want to live, work, and play. We listen to what residents tell us, and we act on it. Our residents want value for their tax dollars at the same time, though. They want great roads, they want great paths, they want high-level core service delivery. Our residents want places of employment, they want places to spend their hard-earned income. We hear you, we hear all of you, and we are going to continue to work to build that thriving community that we all know Farmington can and will be. Our team will continue to positively promote Farmington with prospective developers and opportunities from outside of our borders. Currently, we have several hundred acres under pending purchase agreements. These are for multiple projects, significant in size, amongst a variety of industries. It is happening. We've seen it in the last year. We're going to see it in the next few weeks. We're going to see it in the next few months. And we're going to see it in the next few years. It's happening, but it's going to happen fast. We're seeing it at a different pace in our bordering communities. The Lakevilles and the Rosemounts, they just keep blowing up. Farmington's not avoidable. It's happening, it's coming. Be prepared for it because when this change starts, we're going to blink and our landscapes look a lot different. We have to continue to support our existing businesses. They're the ones that continue to support us. They support our organizations, our nonprofits, and our causes. When we went through COVID, we did not lose one storefront. Our community stood up, protected all of them. We didn't have a single storefront that shut in the 18-month period of time of COVID. That's how we take care of our people. That's how we're going to continue to take care of our people moving forward. We're going to continue to diversify our housing mix by adding options beyond single family. Again, this continues to attract commercial and industrial development. It attracts additional employers, and it's going to provide them with the workforce housing that they ultimately need to thrive. But our growth places new demands on our core services. We have to continue to plan further into the future. We have to look at the rising needs of our community and its residents. But most importantly, we have to hold on to our most invaluable asset, and that's our people. That's our commitment to one another for the betterment of our community. It's what makes Farmington special. We can celebrate our past while at the same time boldly defining our future, because this is Farmington. Thank you.